Well, welcome back to Mom with a Microphone. I'm your host, Ashley Miller, and I'm so glad that you're here to join us today. Today, I have a very special guest. I have my cousin, and I'm not just talking like, oh, that's my cousin, my play cousin. No, this is my blood cousin. Like, grew up together. This is my cousin, Miss Kam Harris. And I'm going to let her introduce herself because this is my girl, but there's a lot to this woman who sits here. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the people. Let them know who you are.
Okay. Again, Kam Harris. Ashley and I are first cousins.
Woo-hoo.
Excuse me for sounding like a man today. I don't feel well. I'm a mom of a 4-year-old boy. He's the cutest thing ever. I am a former teacher. I am a small business owner. I make things. I do micro locks. And I also work for a company that does test prep for students, AP classes, ACT, SAT, things like that. So I work with onboarding and setup with that.
So there's a lot we can unpack in that paragraph, that monologue that you just gave. A whole lot, right? Like, so small business owner. Tell us a little bit about your business.
I make things.
Shameless plug. Tell the name.
Glammed by Kam. glammed.cam.square.site.
There it is.
There it is. The big thing I do now is a lot of FAMU stuff. For whatever reason, Florida A&M University loves Glammed by Kam. So I make bracelets. They should.
They should. Yeah.
I do shoes, jackets, tumblers, whatever you want done, I can make it.
She got you.
Yeah, and I love to do kids like birthday shoes for little girls. It's calming. I don't know.
Well, I've seen the work, and I don't know if I would call it calming, but that's not in me. Not? It's in you. You know what I'm saying? Just like I look at it, I'm like, I don't like in my head. It's like, wow, how'd you do this? And I'd probably spend more time trying to figure out how you did it than just doing it. Because it's like you see the final product, it's like that's incredible. But then you see the pieces that it came from, and it's like, no, bro, this is not for everyone. Okay. But I know it's cool.
But you do the same.
I've tried it. I don't do the exact same stuff, and mine don't look like yours. That's why it's like, oh my gosh. But anyways, beside the point. Like, because yours is phenomenal. If you haven't checked it out, go check out seriously Glam by Kam.
Yes.
Okay, so another thing we can unpack here. So you have a 4-year-old boy who is the cutest thing ever, and he is. I can confirm. And it's not because we're related. Like, he literally is just the cutest. He is. So tell us a little bit about your 4-year-old.
His name is Cage. He's incredibly smart. He's the product of my previous marriage. Typical boy. We're here in St. Louis now. I live in Dallas, but we're here in St. Louis now. And he's with his first cousin at the moment. They're
living his best life, I'm sure.
Living his absolute best life. Sure. Only child. So yeah, we try to get up here as much as possible so he can be around. I mean, your babies. Yeah. His first cousin.
Listen.
This is where the family is.
And they'll turn up. And they will.
They probably are now. I'm going to have a report.
They will.
In church.
Okay, so now the part I really want to talk about today. You said former teacher. Former teacher. I'm not even going to like send this in a direction in any way. I want you to take it where you're going to take it. Former teacher. Go.
Okay. So, I don't even know where to start with this. College, I guess.
Yeah, maybe start like where you started this teaching thing, because everyone's got a start point in their teaching journey. You know what I mean? Okay.
Full disclaimer. I probably should have never been a teacher.
Oh. Okay.
I'm being totally honest. So it was my sophomore year at college. I hadn't declared a major, and I wanted to pledge Delta. I am a Delta, proud member of Delta Sigma Theta, Sorority Incorporated. I hadn't declared a major, but I had to have something to like get online and start the process. I didn't want to do business. Nothing else seemed interesting to me.
It's funny because you have your own business.
Right. Okay. But I wanted, before college, I wanted to do hair. I wanted to do like hair and nails.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in again.
Okay.
And now you officially do microlocks.
Hello.
Okay.
Full circle. So I wanted to do that, but my dad was like, you're smart. You got a full ride. You're using this scholarship money.
Heard all that.
You're getting a degree. Right. And I think it's because he and my mom didn't have one. So went to college, didn't know what I wanted to do. And I didn't want to do business because I had other people, especially on the Ellis side, who had business degrees, and I didn't feel like anybody was really using
it.
Right. So didn't want to do that. So I settled on, and that sounds bad, but I settled on education. And I didn't want to deal with like a specific subject area that would make me be like a high school, I don't know, social studies teacher or something like that. So I chose elementary ed.
All right, then.
And that's how I got into it.
Okay. So I specifically remember after you graduated, you telling me about this opportunity and me looking at you sideways because I was going into college to be a teacher. And for many of the same reasons, because what I wanted to do, my parents were like, well, that's not really going to make you any money.
What was that?
So I actually wanted to be two things. One, I wanted to be a producer, like a music producer. And it's not that music producing wouldn't make me money, but where I wanted to go, I hadn't had no money, so I wasn't going. So I had looked into going to Full Sail in Florida, and I was like set on it. And honestly, it was because someone brought it up, not because I had done my own research and said this would be the best place for me. Like I just was like, it's Florida, let's go. And then I looked at that tuition, I was like, just kidding, I'm not going. I didn't mean what I said when I said it. And so that's what I wanted. And then I was like, okay, well then I'll go to college for music. And my parents were like, that's not going to make you any money. And I can truly and honestly say they were right. So instead I was like, well, then I was going to do journalism and writing. And then I ended up with a scholarship and they're like, just kidding, you can do it. I was like, okay, great. So I've heard all of it before. I get it. Like, you got scholarships, you're going to use it. You're going to, go where you can. And it wasn't malintention at all. It was just, I'm trying to help you make sure, you're set up and you're ready to go for later. But you're absolutely right. There are people who have degrees and they don't use them. And anyway, not about me. Keep going.
No, it is about you.
No, it's not.
This is interesting. I didn't know all
But
that.
I do remember, so mind you, so I guess by the time you graduated college, I was going into college. And I remember when I declared my major, and you telling me about this opportunity that you had. And I literally went and asked my mom, I was like, is this a thing? Because mind you, this is before people went and Googled everything and could just have everything at their disposal.
What is the opportunity I had?
When you left the country to go and teach. And I, like, you literally, so in messages I'm getting and conversations I'm getting, I'm going, here across the world, it's basically free. They're paying for it. Everything I make is, and I'm like, what? I'm like literally taking notes because I'm like, I don't believe you. So tell me about that experience. Because it just was not anything I had ever heard. The only opportunities I had been presented was here, you get to go deal with these kids in a school. Good luck. And not make any money. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I never heard about the opportunities that you had.
Okay. So that was 7 years after I started teaching though. So I started teaching in 2005. And I think that's the year you graduated high school. It is. There's a story behind that too. The day you graduated. We'll talk about that later. So
I don't know the story.
My grandmother died that day on my other side. I remember coming back from your graduation party. And that's a whole, we don't have to go there. I just remember that day vividly. June 10th?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, very.
And to this day, I never knew.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Another story,
yeah.
Next invite. So yes, I was teaching in Fort Worth. I went to a NASA conference my senior year in college. Was talking to a lady, just small talking. She was telling me she was from Fort Worth and she's just asking me about what I'm doing there and all this kind of stuff. So I didn't know she was a recruiter for Fort Worth ISD. So she pulls out a letter of intent, has me sign it, tells me what it is. basically, if I got in my transcript and completed some other little things that they needed, I had a job waiting on me in Fort Worth. So I said, okay, I like Texas. We'd gone down to our family reunion in 2001 to Houston. I like Houston, but
I love Houston.
Didn't want to live there, but I like Texas.
Right.
So I felt like that was
Done deal.
some type of side. Yeah. So I got my stuff in, went there, taught. Did not like it. Like, did not like that first year almost took me out. First, because of kids' germs. Second, parents need to realize that they're their kids' first teacher. And I just felt the heat of that coming from a very structured environment from my dad. And he's a pastor. And I don't know, I got in that classroom and I just saw and heard things that I did not know kids could do or say.
This was elementary school.
Yes, I was teaching third grade.
Okay,
first year.
Now you got to give an example. Like, you can't not say anything.
First year, we'll call this kid David.
Okay, David.
David was the bane of my existence.
I feel like all teachers have one.
David did not do any work. David, I'd give him assignments. He'd stuff them in the back of his desk. David's mom, this has nothing to do with anything, but she was morbidly obese. So she could not get to the school for anything. And so she would call me at like all times of the day. And instead of the principal or the secretary telling, Miss Ellis is teaching right now, no, they call me out of class to go talk to David's mom about every little thing. And David wasn't doing any work. He wasn't turning in any homework. So he got failing grades. And then at the end of the year,
we're going to try to catch it up and fix it.
Well, I gave him all of those opportunities to turn in work, never turned in anything, talked to his mom daily, talked to the principal daily. So on the last report card, naturally, he was retained. He hadn't done any work. And then I was called in over the summer.
This is actually
by the principal. Year. My first year, I was called in over the summer to change his grades so that he could go to fourth grade, because I didn't give his mom enough notice that he was going to be retained.
I feel like we could have a whole separate episode just solely on administration, but we won't. Not today.
No support.
I get it. I've been there. Keep going.
None. So that was the first year. And then I moved down to kindergarten.
That sounds
terrible. I begged for that because that's where I did my student teaching and loved it. I loved teaching, but again, it was that admin, no support, parents complaining about every little thing. Their kids don't have structure. I'm trying to give them that. I'm trying to give them consequences.
You can only do so much because you have them X amount of hours a day. You have them for the most amount of the day, really, like awake time. And then they go right back home, and everything that you're not doing, if it's not being done,
not being enforced,
you start all over the next day.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Kind of like parenting.
What you just said.
That part. So yeah, I don't want to say I got tired of it right away, but it kind of wore away at me.
The grace lifted.
But kindergarten was better. And then I had a friend that went away to Abu Dhabi to teach, and he was telling me about it and emailing me, this is great, and the benefits is tax-free money, and they pay for everything. And I think he was telling me, like, living expenses alone, he may have been paying $300 or $400 a month out of pocket, but they pay for everything else. It was tax-free money, got to travel, great benefits. I said, okay.
Now cue the messages I was getting and was like, wait, what? So this is where it all came from.
Yes. So I applied and flew to New York for an in-person interview. And they loved me.
I remember that.
And I got it. So I went 2 years from 2012 to 2014.
That's crazy.
Best experience ever.
Really? I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe it because I would talk to you, and it was only like I think you only had X amount of times that you could talk, and there were certain like restrictions and stuff. But I can remember asking you like, "Well, what'd you do this weekend?" Oh, I flew in and saw the pyramids, and I was like, "What? Like, what'd you do this weekend? Clean my room? Like, what?" He's just like, "Okay." I remember that.
It was great. It was great. That was really cool.
Now going to Abu Dhabi, your students did not speak English. They did speak English. Was there a language barrier? Like, what was that like?
Kind of. I had first grade girls, which was really, I'd say, pre-K through second grade. So over there, I would literally have a classroom with kids first grade, but they'd be anywhere between 4 and 8 years old. It was nuts. It was nuts. And that was because, okay, so if one of the moms had, I don't know, 3 kids back to back, and they were 4, 5, and 6, they wouldn't want
Put them all in there together?
They wouldn't want one of the daughters to go to school on their own and the other 2 feel left out. So when the oldest one, right, when the oldest one was 6, they'd send them all to school together.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of bananas.
Yeah.
Not too much of a language barrier, but somewhat. All of my students had nannies. I remember even being in a conference one time with one kid who was really struggling. And the mom, she didn't speak much English, but there was an interpreter there. And she was trying to explain to me why her daughter was having issues. And she said, "It's because we are very poor." This is what the interpreter's telling me. "It's because we are very poor. We only have one nanny."
Okay, now culturally though, maybe that is like in our head it's like, wait, what? Oops, I grabbed the mic. In our head it's like, wait, what?
I remember just looking at her like,
but in context of their culture, then maybe that's the thing. In my head here as an American, it's like, what? Like, let me get one nanny. I can't even afford one. You know what I'm saying?
If you're middle class, that's not something.
It's not a thing. Yeah. So, okay. So they're struggling because they only have one nanny.
They only have one nanny. Yeah. They don't have one per child or.
Right.
Per house or whatever.
Interesting. It is interesting. Okay. So after your assignment in Abu Dhabi, what was next?
I came back to Texas, the Dallas area. I taught 2 more years in a new district. It was a better district, but they worked us to death. The first year was pretty decent. The second year, I had a student. I'm going to use his name because there's a million of them. His name was Muhammad. And he broke me down. Between him and administration, I couldn't do it anymore. And I told them maybe the second day of the 2015-2016 school year, this will be my last year in the classroom.
And it was?
Yes. Yes, my last, June 2016 was the last time I was in the classroom.
Wow.
Yeah. He had a dad who was very, I think his dad was like in his 80s. I was back to teaching kindergarten.
Oh my gosh.
His mom was in her 40s. Their culture was that respect for women was not really a thing. So he came in terrorizing my class like on open house night before school even started. And I remember going to the principal saying, this So Muhammad is going to be a problem,
Mm.
and I'm going to need some help with him. Oh, Miss Ellis, you're the best. And we'd heard some things about him, and that's why we placed him in your class.
Gaslighting.
And yeah, and you're going to be fine, and we'll be there to support you. And that first day of school, it's already hectic, and you know this from being a teacher.
Mhm.
It's already hectic. But that first day of school was like nothing I'd ever seen before, all because of him.
That's rough.
Yeah. And I didn't get the support I needed for him. He would do things like, I remember one time we had, I would line my kids up when it was lunchtime. They'd all go to the bathroom, wash their hands, and line up, hands behind their back, ready to go in line. So he went and washed his hands and then came out, jumped in the front of the line, in front of whoever was there already. Miss Ellis, Muhammad's in front of us in line. He needs to go to the end. Muhammad, go to the end of the line. No! And he goes and like slaps like 3 kids and then runs out the door.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No.
Did you stick a foot out on the way?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Just kidding.
And if I did, I wouldn't admit that on this podcast.
Yeah.
Good for you. Right? So we go outside. I take the class outside. He's already out there. I go get my walkie-talkie to tell the principal he's on the loose.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to get him. I got to get my class to lunch. So we get out into the hallway, and one of the other teachers had caught him, like restrained him because I guess they figured what was going on.
Yeah.
So I grabbed his hand and made him go with us in line. I already got it in my hand. I'm gonna have to go write a report about this because I'm gonna hear from the parents of these kids tomorrow. So got my kids to lunch, get them in line, put him at the end of the line. He waits until like half of the kids come through the lunch line. He jumps out of line, runs in front of them, and I can laugh about it now. He literally goes like karate chops, like their trays out of their hands. So it's corn, pizza, milk going everywhere, peaches, typical.
As a kindergartner.
Yes. Jumps on lunch tables. Kids that are already in there. He jumps on lunch tables. He's jumping from lunch table to lunch table, like jumping in kids' food.
It sounds like more than just poor behavior and old parents. It sounds like more than that.
Well, part of the problem, and this was maybe in October of that year, part of the problem was anytime he did things like this, I think the vice principal who was dealing, they typically deal with behavior. I don't know if she was overworked or overwhelmed, but she would give him some kind of prize.
A snack or something.
Yes, and send him back to class. So in his
He's
mind,
getting rewarded for the behaviors.
He was rewarded.
Yep.
And I even got on this level, eye contact, and talked to him one day. And he said, she like it. She like it.
Oh, no.
So he's doing that because
in his head, he thinks he's doing what he's...
Right.
That's rough, man.
Right.
That's rough.
So he does all of this. So another teacher sees what's going on. She's like, I got your class. Go deal with it. So he does his jump from table to table, runs out the lunchroom. Another teacher catches him. I go in there to go out in the hallway to get him again. He turns around and spit right in my face.
Oh, no.
I was done. I had to go to my class, and the same teacher got him again and took him to the vice principal. And I went in my classroom.
And he got another snack.
Cleaned myself up. I probably called him everything but a child of God that day. I had to get it off my chest. Calmed down, had some coffee, did what I needed to do. By this time, my kids are out. They're lining up from recess, and I go out there to get them. And the vice principal comes out with him, and she's holding his wrist. He has a bag of cotton candy in one hand, and he has a slice of pizza in the other, like she ordered him Domino's because he likes Domino's. And he's eating pizza, and she's bringing him back out to me for him to get in line. I'm like, do you know what happened? Yeah, the teachers told me what happened. Why are you bringing him back to my class?
And why is he rewarded for it?
Why is he rewarded? Right.
Yep.
Well, actually, I'm going to let him play a little bit because he hasn't had a chance to play. And then I'll bring him back to class after that. Ma'am?
Girl, I listen.
That was it. Like, that was it. On top of all of I had some other issues in that class. Some kids that came from rough backgrounds. Some kids that were kind of on the level as him, not as bad, but that was the breaking point. And I started telling them from that day forward, y'all need to find a teacher for this class. I'm not going to break my contract, but this is my last year here.
Listen, teachers have battle stories. We do. And battle scars. We do. And I get it because it's one thing, like you said, to deal with the kids and behaviors and their problems and their struggles. It's another to deal with their parents and their families. And then it's a whole nother to deal with admin who
should be supporting and backing up.
Yes, supporting, but also you have to know what that looks like per teacher. There's not a one size fits all, you know?
True.
So I get it. And I've been places where the administration was absolutely horrific. Yeah. And it makes it hard to advocate for yourself and you want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And even saying something like, I'm not going to break contract because you're considering all the other kids in the school and the position that you put them in. And then on the flip side, personally, like dying on the inside because it's like, what can I do?
Yeah.
It's awful to go to a place every day that you know brings out the worst in you. That's terrible. So I kind of want to talk about and bridge the gap between now being a former teacher, because that was your last year in the classroom. So that was the last taste you had of being a teacher. But we know, like you said, that as a mom, the teaching component is not over, right? Like you are your child's first teacher.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about that, like what that looks like. How has your teaching experience shaped like who you are as a mom to your child?
Great question. I'd say as a teacher, the biggest thing in the classroom, and I'm going to relate it back to that, was that the first few weeks of school, I was really big on getting our routines and procedures in place. Like, this is what it's going to be in Miss Ellis's classroom. This is what I'm expecting from you. If you don't do these things, this is what's going to happen. And I stuck to those things. And I'm the same way with my kid. And it shows.
Yeah.
It shows. Just from a very young age, I never like baby talked him or I just always treated him like a person and not
just a tiny little baby.
Yeah. And he responds to that, and we have a great relationship, and he knows when I'm playing because I am a little stupid. He knows when I'm playing, when I'm being ignorant. Yeah, maybe. And he knows when I'm serious too. And he knows my tones. Probably not this week.
Yeah,
he knows my
Nobody knows your tones this week. No, I'm kidding.
Shut up. He gets it. Like, he would be the ideal student. And I think he's in pre-K now. He's starting kindergarten next year, first grade, if I have anything to do with it, because he's brilliant, totally smart, mannerable. But I want him to be the students that I didn't have.
Listen.
I want to make it easy. I want to go to parent-teacher conferences and that his teachers thanking me.
Yep.
That's what I want to be. That's what I'm striving for. And I think we're on our way.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, other than the routines component, because I think every effective teacher can relate to that, because there are teachers who don't establish routines and their class is a mess, and you can see that. But other than just routines, like what are some other things that have kind of transferred over from teaching into parenting, if any?
Beyond teaching, I'd say just being cognizant of the child I'm raising and how he's going to show up in the world once he really gets out there.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Nothing beyond that.
Because I feel like a lot of times it's really easy to walk into a classroom and see a class and not as much the individual. You know what I mean? Like when you consider, you know, we have to get this done and you have to know this and you have to do this and you have to be able to show this and all that. Like it's really easy to think in terms of the class as a whole and not so much the individual person. And I think that's where a lot of times teachers, I think that's a lot of the times where teachers can struggle with kids individually is not knowing the person of the kid that they're teaching. Does that make sense? Yeah. So like, and I have noticed and I have found, I hear a lot of times from administrators in all of my teaching positions, like, oh yeah, we knew this kid was going to be this way, so we put them in your room. Like I've had kids moved in the middle of the year from one class and put into mine because I can quote unquote handle them. And I'm just like, but also that's not my job. Like I want to love every kid and I will do the best that I can to do that. But my job is not to take on all of your burdens so that you don't have to. You need to educate your other teachers on how to relate to these kids, get to know them as individuals, figure out ways to help them where they're at, because you're not always going to have someone who's going to solve your problem, you know?
That's true.
So it's a weird dynamic, because on one arm I'm like, wow, okay, so you want me to take all your burdens, but you're not going to pay me anymore to do it. And on the other arm, it's like, also, I kind of wear it as a badge of honor that I can reach the kids that other people can't, you know?
Yes, and maybe Mr. Muhammad did that for me. Not did that, but maybe it was so difficult dealing with him for me because I didn't feel like I could reach him.
Do you think it changed by the end of the year?
No.
Was he any better? No.
Absolutely not.
No. It's
No.
not funny, but it is funny.
No.
Not at all, huh?
No.
And I will say, so in my head, it's because you constantly had people working against you.
Yeah.
Literally. If you're being rewarded for these terrible behaviors and you're combating that, there's no way to win.
Why does this dude get Domino's every day?
Where's your Domino's?
Right.
I'm mad for you.
I got like a Sonic drink every semester. They give the teachers a coupon for a Sonic drink.
And then what if you miss it and it expires? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can even go get it for me?
What if
unappreciative? I'm so sick of it. Teachers we're not appreciated. I will say, small disclaimer, where I'm at right now, we're very appreciated and I feel appreciated, and that's valuable.
Awesome.
It helps a lot. It helps a lot.
Why do you feel appreciated? What are they doing?
So I have been, how's this about me? I have been in teaching positions where I was not looked at as a professional.
Okay.
I was not looked at as a person with a degree who knew what they were doing and was hired to do what I was doing. I have been looked at as the person who, you know, we have a problem with dumping on you and you figure it out. And if you can't, then that's a problem for us. Yeah, I've like all these things, right? And then I've been looked at on the flip side of that. I've been in places where I was extremely valued and it was obvious. My opinion mattered. They would ask me what I thought, you know, and even then, I have not found a perfect spot, because there's not one.
There isn't,
right?
one.
I feel like you create your perfect spot wherever you're at, where you choose to be. And so, like, I had one position in particular which I loved being there, but I felt like it was a battle. Like, it was a battle to get the time that I felt like the kids needed to do as well as I felt as they could. And on the flip side, like, you know, like, oh, we love you being here. We're going to give you whatever you ask for. And they did, which is great. But then on the flip side, let's change grades. When they take a test and they fail, we need you to change the grade because these kids are competing to be, you know, number one in the district so that they can increase their chances of going, you know, Ivy League or whatever. So it's like that I struggled with. On the other side, again, you know, being appreciated, just little stuff like, and I know we have like a formal budget that you're supposed to, you know, all the things you think you're going to need for the year, fill it out, whatever. But there are times where along the way, I'll just ask for something. Can I have this? Can I have that? Why do you need it? Here's why. Okay. Yeah. And it doesn't become a battle or, oh, well, you didn't put it in the budget a year ago. Or, you know, like I say I need it. I get it. I get what I need.
That's sweet.
I'm huge on like little tokens of appreciation too, you know, like along the way. Like we have spirit days and I will always dress up for a spirit day. Any excuse not to wear real clothes, y'all.
As you should.
As I should. And as I do. Sometimes I have a spirit day that no one else has. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just me and my spirit day. Whatever. So you gotta do what you gotta do. It'd be rough out here sometimes. You know, but like even getting an email like, oh, you won spirit day. You get to have lunch. We're gonna provide lunch for you one day.
Oh, sweet.
You know, so like just little stuff like that.
Did they give you Domino's?
I don't like pizza, so I hope not. Because then that means that they don't love me.
They don't.
Yeah. I got a Chick-fil-A gift card. That was pretty bum. I know. I'll take it.
Can't use it today.
Yeah. Not today, but any other day.
Okay.
But I mean, there's little things that they do to show that we're appreciated. Even just saying it, like, "Hey, we appreciate you." Like, I've been places where it was never a spoken gratitude or appreciation for the things that we do, and it can be hard. Being a teacher is hard, and then teaching. And this is my next question, ish for you, right? Like, you never crossed into like teaching all day, and then coming home and parenting all night.
Facts.
But in a world where you had to imagine that were the case, what do you think that would have looked like?
A small bullet in my head.
Oh no! Don't say that.
I can't.
Oh my god!
I can't imagine that. I'm joking, but I can't imagine that. No, not in the places I taught. Overseas, maybe. Because then I would be expected to have like 4 or 5 nannies. And that may have been okay.
If you were rich.
Yeah, if I weren't dirt poor and then I only had to deal with one.
Yeah.
But here, absolutely not. No way. No
So
way.
had you continued teaching, and then Cage came along, do you think it would have been a thing where you're like, nope, let's segue out of the classroom?
Absolutely.
I know it's hard to ask a what if and get like a real question because
I don't think I could have done both.
Yeah.
And I applaud people that can do both that were in my situation. Like other teachers at the school that were moms or dads. I applaud them. It couldn't have been me.
Listen, I get it.
I don't know if I would have had the mental capacity to deal with all of those personalities and go home and be what I need to be to my kid.
That's a big one. That be what you need to be component. Speaking of being what you need to be. So how do you feel? Like, do you feel like you're able to meet all of Cage's needs? And I'm not just talking like financially I'm talking like emotionally, mentally.
I won't go too deep into the woods, but my ex was a compulsive liar. My ex-husband, Cage's father. I did not know who I married, and before once I realized who I married, we'd been married for a few years. We had a lot of problems, and I'll make this short. We had a lot of issues, and I couldn't understand why we were having the issues we were having. It was because he had lied to me about so many things. So I'm thinking, like, I'm talking to you about something, whatever it was. A college graduate would know this. Like a college graduate could have a what's the word I'm trying to say? A decent conversation, for lack of a better word. Can't think of anything else right now. They'd be able to have a reasonable, decent conversation with me about this topic. Why do we keep clashing? Why are you not understanding what I'm saying? He wasn't a college graduate. Like things like that. But I thought he was. Yeah. So I know now, and like during the divorce proceedings and discovery is what they call it, I found out a lot of stuff, like stuff that or some stuff I found out about before the divorce started, and other things I found out during discovery. And a lot of stuff made sense. And I just kind of understood then at that point that I'm gonna have to give this kid everything
Everything.
because his dad just doesn't have it.
Hmm.
So family, he has family, but he's burned a lot of bridges.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to make sure that he knows our side of the family
Yeah.
and my dad's side of the family. And I'm just very cognizant of what he's not getting when he's not with me. So I try to make sure he gets all of that when he's with me. He's not getting church. He's not being exposed to God when he's over there.
So he's still in connection then.
On some weekends, yes.
And I guess that kind of just strikes the question, like, do you see a difference in him when he comes back to you?
Yes.
So it's almost like being in the classroom where they go home and they come back.
Yeah.
And what we were saying on the parenting side of that. So where does that leave you? Like, how do you get what you need and make sure that you're able to do all of this and still maintain Kam?
The times that he's away with his dad, that's when I do my self-care. That's when I sleep or whatever, just sit around all day in my pajamas or do all the things I need to do. Just when he's not with me. And it's not often when he's not with me, but when he's away, that's when I take care of Kam. And then when he's back, I have
Put
to
Mom Keep
go
back on.
Yeah, have to go in overdrive those first couple of days to get him back on track. But I think we have a routine now.
Yeah. Well, and in reality, I think all kids, kids will probably argue it too, but all kids need routine. They need structure. They need expectations. They need discipline. They need consequences. They need love. They need all of that. And the world we live in a world where everyone wants, to be their kid's friend.
No.
And that's not realistic.
Very
be their
true.
friend when they're grown.
Yeah.
But when they're a kid, they need a parent,
And he has that with his dad. They're friends.
Oh, so, your small business, how do you make time? How do you make time? Because again, if you haven't checked out Glam by Kam, shameless plug again, go check it out. And then when you go see the things that she has made, you're going to have the same question that I have. How in the world? How do you make that happen?
So my 9 to 5 or 7 to 3 or whenever I go in is very flexible.
That's awesome.
And I have the best boss in the world. Basically, I get my work done and then I'm out of there. And if we have a slow day where nothing's going on, a lot of times I take my stuff to work. And that's, I guess, a few minutes or my space, my hour of the day or whatever, especially if I'm working on like shoes or something that takes a long time and it's very meticulous. I just take that's my safe. It's something mental to me. It calms me down. I have anxiety. It calms me down. It's relaxing. It's enjoyable. I love seeing the final product come together.
No, me too.
It's
great.
You're so sick.
Your final product. I love seeing
so
your
ignorant.
final product come to. It's great. Sorry,
So
go ahead.
Can I call you ignorant?
You
Too
can.
late. Yeah, I just take little pockets of time like that. Or Cage is at this point. It's funny because he's 4, but he's a grown man. He really enjoys taking showers, like hot showers.
Does he have a robe? Does he have a velvet robe for when he is done?
Buy him one
You need to.
for Christmas.
A velvet robe.
But I think he doesn't like clothes, so I think that would be a problem. Like he'd be asking, could he go to like school in his robe or something? Looking like
I can just see him with his
Hugh
little
Hefner or
hair
something.
slicked to the side and his robe with his little ducky slippers or something, looking like a grown man and a kid simultaneously.
his monster slippers
He's
and
so cute.
a silk robe. I could so see it. But no, I'll get him in the shower. I'll help him clean his backside, and I give him the towel. I've already taught him how to clean the front and what he needs to do, and he goes for it. And he after he
The little
cleans
man.
himself, he is. After he cleans himself, I'll go in there and check on him. And sometimes he's just standing under the shower like this. So that's
relaxing.
That's his time. And while he's having his time, I'll be in the living room somewhere working on shoes. It works.
I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. You ready to get out the shower? Yeah, mommy. Okay.
Live your best life, honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, okay. Advice you have for other women, other people who are going through something similar, or just this is their life too, you know? Like maybe they're not struggling. Maybe this is their life that they have and they love it and that's great. But advice, words of encouragement, words of wisdom, what do you have?
Prayer is so good. The time that you have, take it to do whatever it is you want to do. If it's sleep, sleep. If it's go get your nails done, do it. I found this restaurant by my house that serves this oxtail dish with lobster mac and cheese. Typically when Cage is gone and I'm hungry, that's where I'll go. I'll order that and that'll be I'll eat on it for lunch, dinner, breakfast, sometime the next morning. I do the things I need to do to decompress. Massages.
Yes. Say it again.
Massages. Honestly, I'm on a anxiety medication. It helps. I don't plan to be on this for the rest of my life, but
right.
it's helping for now. My divorce is still fairly new and fresh, so I'm just trying to do the things that I need to do to. I don't know, to make it. Counseling. I've had a lot of that in the last year or two. Faith-based counseling. It's wonderful. I've talked to people from my church and just with insurance, faith-based counseling. It works wonders. I'd say the last person I've been to, she just made me understand you can only do what you can do while your child is with you. So you're responsible for your time with him. And since I have him for most of the time, like I'm responsible for most of
the time, right?
Yeah. So just trying to show up and show out because I know he's not getting what I would like him to have 100% of the time. So my 90% of the time, I'm trying to make it
100%
count.
of the time.
Yeah.
Your 90% of the time has to be 100% of the time.
100%. I'm trying to make it count. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
We're fine. We're fine. This too shall pass. We'll get through this, and it's not the end. And I'm 41.
I'm just kidding.
The girl fine though.
You sure are. Go ahead.
Sound like
go
a
ahead.
man.
Look.
She sound like a man,
Look
but the
at the
girl
camera.
is fly. Okay.
Fly and what else? And young and saved.
Ooh! Hallelujah.
Come on.
Put these back up so I can see you, because she's
someone's finna
she's
rewind
also
that.
blind.
Someone's. Okay, look. Okay.
Yes.
Someone's gonna rewind that and go back and look. And be like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it again.
You can be a blind single mother, and you can
sure
make
can.
it too.
And you can make it too. You better tell them. Let them know.
We'll put that on a shirt.
Let's go.
You want to sell it too?
Why not?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. Anything else? Anything you want? Any last thoughts? Final thoughts?
Do what makes you happy. Professionally. Honor your commitments. Like I said, that last year when I realized, I can't do this anymore. But I could have left then. I finished my contract. I did that in Abu Dhabi too. I'll just honor your commitments. And if it's something that's not making you happy, find what makes you happy and do it. Find what makes you happy. Life is too short. And of that short life, what we do professionally for work, however we make money, is a huge part of that. So don't complain. Don't get complacent. Don't get mad. Don't become bitter. Just move on to something else.
Yeah.
Honor your commitments and move on to something else. There has to be, there's something out there that will work for you. And I really do like what I do now. I'm still in education, but I'm on the technology side. I'm helping lots of kids. I'm helping lots of teachers. And I'm not.
And you don't even have to deal with them directly.
Right. So, I mean, sometimes I do, but it's
different capacity.
Like it's arm's reach. Like,
yeah.
I'm not directly responsible for them, but I am impacting them and what they're learning. So that's always great.
I do want to say one more thing. You said there's something out there. If what you're doing isn't making you happy or you're not fulfilled or whatever, go find something that is. And if you can't find that, I want to add this, go create it. Go create whatever that space is. If it doesn't exist, go create it. You know? And I think as creatives, like, we're able to think just differently than a lot of people do who are very logical, concrete. The abstract is not as familiar. But I want to challenge you. So thank you for those who have tuned in today. Thank you, Kam, for being our guest today. We'll have you back. Yeah, if this is something that's really spoken to you, take a minute, go find Glam by Kam. How can they find you?
On Instagram, glamedxcam. I'm on Etsy by the same name, glamedxcam, and the website.
And it's Kam with a K.
Yes,
Kam with a K.
Kam, GLAMMEDXKAM. Yeah, and then the website glamedbykam.square.site.
Yeah. Thank you again for joining us today. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Stay blessed.